Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another conversation piece here on the CGC channel. I know it's been a while since I talked to you. Again, I have a day job, don't depend on YouTube, so things will be sporadic, but they are going to get better, I promise. And enough things have happened in the industry that I think we're due time for a conversation. So let's go ahead and have that, right? And let's do a quick summary. We got an acquisition by Sony that the PlayStation fanboys are taking way out of proportion. We got Microsoft pretty much getting into their year end or end of year release cycle, and though a lot of these games aren't coming out in the, let's say, best of conditions, at least as far as whether they're running or not in the case of Flight Simulator, or how polished they are in the case of Stalker, these games are proven to be very popular. And of course, Call of Duty is being Call of Duty, so it's probably gonna be a hell of a next 3 months for Microsoft. They still got Indiana Jones, and I believe about a week and some change from now. And actually, it's 14. So about 2 weeks from now, they'll have Indiana Jones dropping. This is Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving, by the way, that this is being recorded. They'll have a Towerborn will probably be hitting Xbox in preview mode in January. And it's actually a pretty cool little game. I think they should sell it at a very low price point, but the fact that it's in Game Pass is going to help it tremendously. It's a very cool game. Nice little beat 'em up. Then you got in February Avowed, which is being previewed quite heavily. That's going to be a big game for Microsoft during the month of February. I believe in around March or April, you'll have the PlayStation release of Indiana Jones, so that's more money they'll be making. And sometime, I'm pretty sure before June's showcase, you'll see South of Midnight hit store shelves virtually and maybe physically. And that should be another game that benefits from being on Game Pass. But it's actually looking like it might be a decent sleeper hit. I don't think it'll do big numbers, but I think it's going to be a critical darling for its themes, maybe more so than its gameplay. But again, time will tell on that. But let's get into more information. We also got the Nintendo Switch 2. That thing. It might be coming out in March. So a lot of interesting things are happening, on top of the fact that once we hit January, yes, we are heading once again into showcase season. And the rumor that just pretty much hit the net is that Nintendo's going to show off or introduce the world to the Switch 2 in January, and then they're going to launch it probably around 8 years to the day that they launched the original Switch in March. So I believe that was March 7th or March 17th when they launched the original Switch. Somebody can correct me in the comments, but yeah, it's interesting times, guys. So let's start off with the Sony acquisition of Kotokawa. Kotokawa, for those who are uninitiated, the Japanese production company. They own several anime franchises. I want to say they own one of my favorite franchises of all time, which is the Record of Lodoss War series. They also produce movies. I believe they've had their hands in a couple of movies involving Godzilla. I know Toho owns Godzilla, but I'm pretty sure Kotokawa helped produce some of those. But for context to gaming, Kotokawa owns Spike Chunsoft's the Fire Pro Wrestling series, which is a huge favorite of mine. And they own, of course, From Software, which is Armored Core, which is obviously Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne. They own Tenchu. They'll own Tenchu. They own a lot of stuff. I think this is a great purchase for Sony. I've heard rumors that there were complications with the purchase, mainly because Sony kind of just wants to pick and choose which parts of Kodokawa that they own. And Kodokawa's like, no, you need to buy the whole thing. You need to take the movies. You need to take the manga, anime. I don't know if they do manga, but you need to take the anime, the movies, the game stuff. You need to buy the whole thing. You need to promise that you're going to, manage the entire thing. And I apparently these negotiations have been going back and forth for years, and I guess only hit a real head now because people are starting to mention it. And there may even be word that mentioning it, and this news hitting the rumor mill may have driven up the price and kind of hurt Sony. But honestly, I'm rooting for Sony to get it because they need something. There is a wave coming, and this is what the ponies don't understand. What you think this is going to be? If Sony does it that way, we be monumentally stupid. What people who understand the business believe this is going to be is what Sony can do to keep themselves relevant in the years to come. Because if they can't land this, or if they land this and they do what you dumbass PlayStation ponies want them to do, they are going to die a very slow death. And let me explain. We would all be remiss to say that Microsoft making sure that they still publish Call of Duty on every platform that it was released on before they purchased Activision. We'd all be foolish to say that would be, that's a bad thing that they're doing it, right? Obviously, because while apparently the Game Pass numbers went up and Xbox engagement for the franchise is at an all-time high, or at least a recent all-time high. I'm pretty sure the engagement was probably bigger during the 360 years. We would all be remiss to say that it's a smart thing that they put this on PlayStation and PC still, right? Which, Microsoft's been publishing their games on PC day and date for years now. So that obviously was going to happen. But they sold copies on PlayStation. It is the most played game on PlayStation right now. So it would be foolish for them to not do that. Now, all you PlayStation ponies who love PlayStation and think this is some big gotcha or revenge thing, first of all, you're totally ignoring the fact that Sony bought Bungie and they still put all of the Destiny stuff on Xbox. They're still going to bring Marathon to Xbox, right? You're ignoring that, though, because you're stupid. And you're still stuck in this council space where, there's a council war. There is no council war. Sony won that already. And really, Nintendo won that. But if you want to just take the W, fine, whatever. Understand this. Elden Ring was probably the highest selling Souls game that Namco's ever published. They published 3 Dark Souls games, then 3 Dark Souls remakes, I believe, or at least 2 of them were remade. And then you got the Elden Ring game. Look at the numbers for Elden Ring. And then look at the numbers for Bloodborne, your precious Bloodborne, that Sony won't even so much as lift a finger to charge you $10 to have it run better on your PS5s. And look at the numbers for that Demon Souls that, what's the name? Blue Sky, I forget the name of the team that remastered that game for PlayStation 5. But look at the sales for that game, the Demon Souls remake, and look at the sales for Bloodborne and compare those to Elden Ring. And I'm going to, I would say pause the video, but I will hope that you come to the conclusion that I'm already about to tell you. First of all, let's be clear. Sony is buying Kodokawa, not PlayStation. Sony. Because Sony wants the anime products. Right? They want the game stuff too, which is why they've been trying to pick that out of the bunch as well. But they want the anime stuff. because they're trying to be the home of anime across the world. Sony's buying Kodokawa. Sony doesn't give a shit about PlayStation's exclusiveness. They don't. And if you think they do, well, you got a whole different line of thinking than the guys who are running the billion-dollar company do. I don't know that the big wigs in Sony are saying to themselves, well, once we own Kodokawa, we're going to make all of the Soul stuff exclusive. But I would say this. Even if, right, they made the Souls games exclusive to PlayStation and PC, we already know by now that Microsoft's next big play is that their handheld console hybrid that they're going to come out with in a year or two is basically going to be a PC anyway. See, Microsoft's running crazy with this. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. This is two Xbox. You know, they're doing this trolley campaign where they're saying everything that has a browser or can download an Xbox app is an Xbox, and then obviously a fucking Xbox is an Xbox, right? They're also going to make their next Xbox a PC. And Sony loves that PC money, even though their last couple of releases really ain't doing so well on there. You're only making games for Xbox anyway. Hell, let's just be serious. Not to be one of those weird Xbots who loves to work off technicalities, but you're already making games for a Microsoft platform anyway. And now Microsoft is just being smart to say, you know what? Let's just put a fucking button on this next machine that lets it be that, so that our customers who buy this thing won't miss out. The console stuff is over with, guys. Just stop. You're grown ass men. You got kids, a whole job. At least I hope you got a job. I hope you wash your ass every day. Stop it. It's done. Like, the moment somebody at Microsoft got their head out of their collective behinds and said, oh, that's right, we make Windows, this shit was over. And it's not saying that Microsoft won, but the next console they make is literally going to double as a PC, if not natively be a PC. It doesn't matter anymore. Sony can buy all of the companies they want. And at the end of the day, so long as they publish games on the PC platform, they will be making games for an Xbox. Which is exactly what Microsoft wanted. And good on Microsoft for being smart enough to realize we literally make the gaming platform for this, for PCs. Like, no one, some people are using Linux, obviously, because of Steam Deck, and it works well enough, right? Very few people are using Apple for gaming. Apple, I know motherfuckers who own MacBooks who dual boot Windows just to play games on. That's how good that shit is for gaming. It isn't, right? It's over, dude. Microsoft realized we're not going to outsell them in pushing plastic boxes. So we'll just make our plastic box the one thing that does make us synonymous with gaming. It'll be a Windows PC. It's fine. Right? It's nothing for Xbox to cheer for, because ultimately they lost. Right? If they want to attach themselves to that, right? They lost the console war. But the PlayStation guys won't win either. Because Sony is already, like I said, making games for Windows platforms. So it would take Sony saying, you know what, we only gonna make our games on Linux, and there's not enough money in the world for them to do that dumb shit. So again, just you guys, both sides, stop. But you PlayStation guys, I gotta agree with Oh No, It's Alex and Fratanga. You guys are the most egregious. Some of y'all motherfuckers talking about, oh, the tears that the Xbox gonna cry when From Software is bought by Sony. Why? Why would any Xbox, realistically speaking, why would any stable-minded Xbox be crying about From Software being bought by Sony? Why would any Xbox do that? How many games has From Software made that are synonymous with Xbox? Two games. The Otogi series from the original Xbox, which is a whopping 2 games long, and Chrome Hounds, which is a whopping 1 game long on the Xbox 360. Those are the 3 games that have never come out on anything else but Xbox that From Software makes. Everything else is PlayStation first and primarily always has been. Hell, the closest they got to Fire Pro Wrestling being on Xbox was a dumbass Avatar game on the Xbox 360 that to this day Spike Chunsoft calls an embarrassment. They were never synonymous. Let me repeat, they were never synonymous with Xbox in any way. The fact that Xbox players got the last Armored Core, those Dark Souls games, in this Elden Ring game is just the fact. That's based purely off the fact that Namco said, no, we want to make as much money as possible. And if Sony buys that company and then allows PlayStation to say, oh no, we don't want to make as much money as possible, then they're fucking stupid. Just like how you can still buy Call of Duty on your PlayStation, and if Microsoft talks Disney into letting them get the license back, they get the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games, they'll re-release those games on the PlayStation Store too. Just like that's going to happen. Elden Ring 2 will probably still come out on Xbox. And if it doesn't, it'll come out on PC, which means you'll be able to play it on the Xbox anyway. It doesn't matter, guys. This is a stupid fucking argument. The moment Microsoft got their hands on Activision, and they initiated this whole thing about launching the biggest year in, year out annual game on that Game Pass service, the shit was over with. And then when they decided, oh yeah, we're gonna make it so that you can play this anywhere. It's done. Stop making this something it ain't. Stop making it something that they have circumvented that system. Console sales, console exclusivity, it doesn't matter anymore. And when these motherfuckers drop this new console that's also going to be a Windows PC, it's really not going to fucking matter anymore, guys. It's over. Just stop. Because Sony cannot put whatever From Software game they have them make post-acquisition on PC if they want to. It wouldn't be a smart idea, but they can do that shit if they want to. If you think you're going to get a legions of PC players to just buy a PlayStation to play one fucking game, when there's like 20, 30 games that come out every month that play like the average From Software game. Like, let us not forget that Liza P is a pretty damn good Souls-like that's not made by From Software. Let us not forget that even though I haven't played it, from what I've seen of it, Black Myth Wukong is a pretty damn Souls-like adjacent game that's not made by From Software. They don't have the market cornered on that gameplay anymore. They have the popularity. They have the notoriety of being synonymous with it. But they aren't the only ones who can make those games anymore, and they certainly aren't the only ones that can make good versions of those games. They make excellent versions of those games, but they ain't the only ones who can make good versions of them. So it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. And I'm not saying this to buffer Microsoft's feelings about it. No, but I'm going to get to what Microsoft's going to do. But I really don't think this is nothing. This is nothing. Like, if Sony does what the ponies think they're going to do, the hardcore idiotic ponies, then the shit's going to fail. And if Sony does what I think, and I'm pretty sure other people who understand where the business is going thinks it's going to go, then it'll be business as usual, except for now Sony will be making 70-30 splits. 70-100 splits on all of the games. 100% of the games sold on PlayStation will go to them, proceeds will go to them, and 70% of the copies of the games that are sold on Xbox and PC those proceeds to go to them. Just like how Xbox has Call of Duty right now. It's the same shit. What are we talking about here? Right? Like, literally, Sony is being shown in their faces, and this is a little bit of a come to Jesus moment for you guys. You guys are making that possible. You ponies, right? You're making that possible. 60 plus billion 60 plus million PS5 sold. Astrobot goes 1.5 in 2 months. Meanwhile, the Hedgehog comes out, sells 1 million in a week, maybe 2 weeks. Mind you, Sonic the Hedgehog is a much more popular franchise, but Sonic the Hedgehog came out where? Everywhere. Astrobot came out where? PlayStation 5. I shudder to think what Horizon Adventures did. It did worse than fucking Concord on Steam. Didn't really hear about it much on PlayStation. Can't imagine what the Switch numbers are. Like, yeah, this is a problem. The God of War didn't do shit on Steam. And that's Sony. That's what Sony's own dumbass making, because they're trying to make people sign into PSN. The one group of people that were carrying your biggest hit this year, Helldivers, because that game ain't on no PlayStation charts. At best, it's in the top 30. It ain't in the top 10. It's in the top 15. And you can look at Matt Piscatella. He puts out the numbers for engagement and play rates for games, like I think weekly or every week or every month. Helldivers ain't in there on PlayStation. You know what's the top of the PlayStation list and the Xbox list? Call of Duty. Helldivers is top 5 on Steam, maybe top 3. I think it's number 3. That's the community that's carrying that game, and fuck them over. I say, oh yeah, we want you to artificially boost our PSN numbers, and they're saying, fuck you, no, we're not doing that. The countries that can play it, other ones, they can't even play it because PSN is not available there. So maybe Sony is stupid enough to try and turn, Elden Ring 2 exclusive. I know this is gonna piss Namco off. I wonder how that strains their relationship if they buy From Software and they basically rip Elden Ring 2 out of Namco's hands and make it an exclusive. Let's hope. You better hope they're not that stupid, or that shit King David saying no PS6. That's gonna be a real thing. Y'all better hope they not that dumb. Y'all better hope that they learn from Microsoft and say, oh yeah, we sold 20 million copies of Elden Ring 1. We're gonna put that shit everywhere because we want to sell 25, 30 million copies of Elden Ring 2. But if they as dumb as y'all are, that shit ain't happening. Something way worse is. At any rate, all this talk about that, and there's a rumor that because the price is going up, because the rumors out there, and the stock went up for Kotakai with that. Oh yeah, well, Tencent's jumping in, which is like, well, duh. And then Microsoft's jumping in. I believe Tencent's jumping in. I don't believe Microsoft's jumping in at all. One, the regime flip hasn't really taken full effect yet. Lena Khan is still in charge of the FTC until January 6th. It might be earlier than that, but I'm pretty sure everything flips over when the president, the new president, comes in. We all know who won the presidency, Donald Trump. And as a matter of fact, not only did Donald Trump win, but I think everything's red. Like, everything's red dominant. Senate, House, everything's red. And you know what Republicans like? They like mergers. They like big corporations that make a shitload of money. Guess what Microsoft is? So, I mean, even if a dumbass fanboy, Pony or Xbox, wants to get into acquisitions and stuff like that, Like, this is a different level of, just call it what it is, fuckery that's about to happen. And I've spoken about this before, but I think it necessary to go more in depth, since acquisitions seem to be a thing between these two companies right now. Sony, I hope, gets Kadokawa, because they're going to need it. They're going to need it, and they're going to need intelligence upon acquiring it to survive. Because what Microsoft is going to buy, two things that I'm pretty sure they're going to target in the next few years before Donald J. Trump loses his seat, unless he gets to do all of that shit that they were talking about he was going to do. At any rate, in the next 4 years, Microsoft's going to target two companies. One of those companies is TikTok. I believe TikTok is set to be sunsetted in North America, in particular United States of America, by the end of December. I think Microsoft buys TikTok, and I'm standing by. Microsoft will, at some point during this next 4 years, so 2025 to 2028, early 2029, they will be in the running to acquire Unity. I know you're saying to yourself, well, those ain't video game companies. How does that work? Well, technically, one of them kind of is. This is the thing. Microsoft can't buy Epic. I mean, they could, but they break the bank, and it'd be a lot of red tape. And then they got to deal with Tencent, because I believe Tencent owns a good portion of the shares in that company. It's a fucking mess, right? Who the fuck owns Unity? To my knowledge, maybe some private investors, maybe one company or two, but nobody owns Unity. And they sent one of their sleeper agents there, Major Nelson. And I'm this is kind of a running gag, but every time Microsoft sends one of these fucking guys to one of these companies, the company ends up getting bought. They sent Ybarra and God, what's the guy's name who worked on Gears 4 and 5? They sent them to fucking Blizzard, and now they own Blizzard. Well, they own Activision, Blizzard, and King, but yeah, Mike Ybarra left Microsoft, went to Blizzard, and my mans who made Gears 4 and 5, he was the lead on 4 and 5, left Microsoft, or left the coalition, went to Blizzard for Diablo. Microsoft owns those companies. Larry Hibbert, Major Nelson, went to Unity. 2 or 3 years from now, would I be surprised if that happened? Absolutely not. And that might seem like a boring acquisition to a lot of guys, but here's the thing. Microsoft wants a storefront, a one-stop shop for games. They can't buy Steam, at least not right now. Now, should the opportunity come, a lot of people will be vying for Steam. And I think that's what Sony is hoping, that they can collect quite a few smaller things so they can build the cash to maybe put their name in the hat for that. Because Gabe Newell's getting older, and eventually he's going to want to retire, right? But if you can't buy Steam, and you can't buy Epic, what you can buy is a creator platform that is just popular enough, especially with indie devs, that you could turn it into a storefront, not unlike Epic has. And you say something like, yeah, well, if you make a game in Unity and you publish it on the Microsoft Unity store, we'll only take some single digit or something just north of 10% profits, and the rest of it goes to you. Something like what Epic does. I don't know if Epic does 100% goes to the developer. I don't remember how theirs works exactly, but I know Epic gives publishers a really sweet deal for using their engine and publishing their games exclusively on the Epic Game Store, which is one of the main reasons they're able to get those 6-month to a year deals, and their proximity to Sony on a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Microsoft wants to do that. They got mobile lockdown. They already kind of have a store with Battle.net, right? And the Windows Store, but neither one of those is as good as Steam. A Unity store where, dig this, say, I don't know, 5 years out, they've bought Unity and they get the Activision team to build the next few Call of Duties. And there's implications that this is a thing because apparently some committee's been put together at Microsoft that's going to manage how Call of Duty works for the next few years. So let's say in theory they buy Unity and they say, yeah, we're going to put Call of Duty on Unity. And it'll be available through the Microsoft Unity store. Because Call of Duty is still running on like a Quake 4 engine. A heavily modified version of the Quake 4 engine. Call of Duty still running on that. They moved to Unity, the newest version of Unity that has like, the latest ray tracing, destructible environment tech, photogrammetry, all that stuff. Yada yada yada. They put the next Call of Duty on that. That's your Fortnite right there. You don't have to build a Fortnite. You already got your Fortnite. You just got to make sure that your Fortnite runs on that engine. Or, if not your Call of Duty, it could be that game they actually bought Activision for, that I told y'all about a million times. That game is being built in Poland. This game that's called Elseworlds, it could be that game. But some of y'all don't want to hear me when I say that. That's the game they bought these motherfuckers for. Not Call of Duty, not Candy Crush. Those games are going to make their money despite themselves, right? Like Call of Duty has been outright atrocious some years and it still made a shit ton of money. Call of Duty is going to make money despite itself. That ain't the game they bought it for. That's nice money coming in, but that ain't the game they bought it for. They bought Activision for this Elseworlds game. You guys ain't going to hear me until you see it. And I haven't seen it, but I got a feeling that's what they bought them for. They've seen it. And that's the game that said, oh yeah, here's $70 billion. We want this shit. What if that game runs in some high-end version of Unity? They buy Unity and you get going to the Microsoft Unity store and buying stuff for that game. What are the chances that's a thing? And don't be a Game Pass subscriber. Then they really let you go off in that store, right? Whole point is this. Between that and the TikTok purchase, which fulfills several key roles for Microsoft. You know what TikTok does that Microsoft needs, that Microsoft attempted before, but it didn't work? I don't remember the name of that service that Microsoft had. Microsoft had a streaming service that they bought. It was during the pandemic, I believe. That shit did not go very well. I think they ended up cashing out Shroud and Ninja and a couple other guys. They gave them big checks to make content only on that platform, and it ended up going down after like a year or maybe under a year, something like that. But TikTok is going to come with an embedded audience. People stream on TikTok already. People sell on TikTok already. People make content of all kinds on TikTok already. And the streaming on TikTok is not just some random bullshit. It's interactive. There's TikTok streams where you can tap the screen 20 times and a guy's playing the Resident Evil 4 remake and a zombie will pop up on the screen because you interacted with his stream. All the little stuff that they were trying to do with that streaming service they had before, this thing comes with it done. You don't really have to put a team on it. You just need to keep the team you already have and let them keep rocking out. The TikTok purchase will come quick. The TikTok purchase will probably be in the process of happening by, I'm going to say we'll be deep into it by next year around this time. And after that one clears in January, because the Republicans aren't going to stop them from doing it, that's when the Unity purchase is going to happen. I think these are Microsoft's two big targets. I think Phil Spencer retires after the Unity one goes down, because that will make them a platform of a different level. The only thing Microsoft won't have by the end of this 4 years is a movie studio that they're running. But if you think this is not something that's going to go down, you're fucking crazy. They're going to buy one of, if not both of those. So, again, like the video game shit, they've bought the video games they wanted. As far as like publishers, they have the stuff they want. Now it's bigger picture. Now is, do we have a platform and an engine that we can sell to developers and then say, hey, why don't you put that game exclusively on our platform for like 5 months to a year, and we'll give you a severe discount on how much of a cut we take from its sales, and we'll promote the hell out of it. It'll be on Xbox. It'll be on Windows Xbox, or Microsoft Xbox, Windows handheld PC, whatever the fuck that thing's gonna be called. It'll be everywhere. We'll even put it on PlayStation. If you think that's not gonna happen, again, look at what is happening. Read the room. Read the fucking room. Now, a company I am a little worried about, I'm going to start wrapping this up because I see we're at, 30 minutes. 37 minutes, actually. So, excuse me for that. The company I am a little worried about is Nintendo. I'm excited for the new Switch platform. I've heard awesome rumors about them having some kind of way for you to edit or create content for the games. I already gave you my little saucy predictions about what I think that platform will be able to do as far as pushing VR and stuff like that. There is a problem though. The rumor has it they're going to show this thing off in January, which actually, as much as I despise the fucking Keighley's, I think it would be better off to show off and debut the Nintendo Switch 2 at the Keighley's. Show it at the Video Game Awards, and then you can publish it in March. Because eyes will be on that stupid ass show, right? For trailers, not the actual awards, because that shit is a fucking joke. But debut it at the Keighley's, sell it in March. Debuting it in January and then trying to sell it in March is going to be a rough ask. Because here's the problem. We don't know what the first 3 months, and particularly in America, are going to look like after this motherfucker starts trying to enact these tariffs and all this other stuff. And I'm not trying to be political, but I'm just being realistic. He's already saying that he's throwing down tariffs at a country where this machine's being fucking made. And that means it's going to cost the consumers. You guys want the Nintendo Switch 2 to be $500 or $600? Because I don't. If Nintendo is doing what's rumored to be, they're rumored to be doing, which is making 6.5 million of these things to ship at launch, can you imagine them having to sell this fucking thing at $500 to $600? A Nintendo platform because of tariffs? You imagine them having to sell that platform at $500 or $600 because of inflation due to tariffs? And mind you, this could be something that isn't possible because of numerous factors. I'm not a person who understands financials like that, but I understand what tariffs are and how they work. And I know that shit comes at the cost of the consumer's wallet. So imagine Nintendo having to sell these things on what could be an economic downturn, and they got 6.5 million of them sitting in warehouses. What did I say about Nintendo? Last video. Go back to the last video. What I said about them. I said they could bring this Switch 2 out and it could very well flop. This is looking like, right? Like, I think another thing, just to touch on for a moment, that Microsoft's being very clever about is saying, look, we don't give a fuck about selling the plastic box because we know a lot of y'all ain't gonna have the money to do that anyway. You can find PS5 Pros right now, and I don't think that's because most people who see it think it's dog shit. No, I think most people aren't buying it because they don't have the fucking money, because they understanding what their economic situation might be like for the next 5 or 6 months. They're not about to spend $700-800 on a fucking video game console. The Nintendo situation could be very interesting. I mean, it is Nintendo. I never doubt Nintendo when it comes to being able to sell water to a well. That pun actually makes sense. But end of the day, you know, if tariffs end up affecting them because, you know, Nintendo does like to sell, post GameCube, they love to sell consoles with cheaper components, you know, because they're older usually, and their thing is flipping older technology into newer ways to interact with it. The unfancy way of saying it is gimmicks. Because the Switch is a gimmick, the Wii was a gimmick, even the Wii U was a gimmick. So a gimmick that failed. They're all gimmicks. They have a shtick, a thing that they do that's unique. And I have no doubt the Switch 2 will follow suit on that. But you know, this could be interesting. Remember, I told you their pattern is success, failure, success. They just had a success with the Switch. Are we lining up for another failure? I don't know. Telling me you're gonna have 6.5 million units. Telling me that you are releasing 3 months after a president that's probably going to affect how much your device costs to people in parts of the world. I don't know. Keep your eye on that, because shit is about to get very interesting in tech. Shit's about to get very interesting, period. But in tech, things are about to get very interesting. This is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. And I need people to stop worrying about the bullshit and get your thinking caps on, because we're in for a ride. And not just in this game and shit, just period. We are in for one hell of an interesting ride, and I hope you all make it through it just fine. But you dudes like the war over video games and shit, man. Look, let me tell you something right now. Get your heads out your asses about this stuff. It don't matter anymore. Like, even recently came out and said, oh yeah, you don't need a PlayStation, you just use a PlayStation Portal. Because they know. They won't admit it because, you know, they're trying to keep an impression with you guys, but they know. The console shit is over with. It's done. And it's time to move on. We're all going to have bigger fish to fry in the next few years. I fear. I hope it's not as bad as it might be. You know, I'm not upset about any of this shit. I mean, I lived through Donald Trump's first 4 years. I came out just fine. But, you know, there are people who, let's just say this without getting too political, were grossly misinformed about what he was saying and are finding out the hard way that they might have fucked themselves over really bad. Interesting times, to say the least. At any rate, man, that's going to be it for me. We'll have another conversation soon. Play your games, have fun, stop fighting over this shit, because it ain't what you think it is, man. It stopped being that the moment the moment Activision happened, it was already not that anymore when Activision was and Microsoft were going through the thing. But the moment they crossed the line, it was like, okay, it's definitely not that anymore. And Microsoft's telling you right to your face. And once again, and I know I was getting out of here, but I got to drop this gem on you. Once again, Microsoft is telling you what's going to happen. And once again, you motherfuckers are getting mad about it. How little you learn. These are the same guys that told you that you were probably going to have a digital assistant on your console and you got mad. Now everybody got some kind of Amazon, Google, or Apple device in the house that changes their fucking heat. These are the same guys that said it's just a camera for your game console. What's the problem? And all y'all motherfuckers got Ring doorbells now. These are the guys, yeah, your games are going to be tied to your account digitally, and you'll have to do something special in order to let your friends borrow your games. And y'all say that's bullshit, and you laugh when Sony made this stupid ass video where they were handing each other over this. When's the last time any of you motherfuckers waited for a midnight launch of a game? When's the last time you let a friend borrow a fucking cartridge or a disc? When's the last time you did that? But when Microsoft told you were going to do that, you got mad. Now they're telling you to your face, quite boldly, all of these things are Xboxes. All of them. And you're laughing, or you're saying they're stupid, and all this other shit. See you guys in 7 years, man. Just stop, bro. These motherfuckers have literal geniuses. They pay millions of dollars to predict where shit's going. You think they don't know this already? You think they don't know that you're already going to do it? You think you're already not doing it to some extent now? The moment you motherfuckers downloaded Call of Duty to play on your Android or Apple iPhones, they knew they had you. So they went ahead and bought the game that you were playing. Get your head out of your asses, folks. This ain't a warning, this is a spoiler. This is where we're going. Anyway, man, God bless y'all, man. If I don't speak to y'all after the holidays or before the holidays, man, just, I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving, or I hope you do enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in the next one.